You're in mute. Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the talk show. So, I would like to give a quick introduction to the program start with, and then we will take up the discussion. Okay, so primarily, we are very happy to sponsor this event, aligning business process excellence to strategy. So one of the most important topic which every executive would like to understand and also practice, follow. One way or other, everybody is doing this already. So it will be a good time to hear from experts from strategy and experts from process excellence. So that makes a big difference of today's session. Okay. So we basically Data Labs India. So we help organizations through our products and services to achieve strategy excellence and also supply chain excellence. So that's what we do. So I would like to take this as an honor to invite and also introduce our guest speakers and experts of the international level. Okay, so I would like to just let me start a quick introduction the team. So by the time all the participants also can join, we can have a quick introduction. Okay. So first of all, I would like to thank you, Mihai Ionescu, for joining the session. Mihai has dedicated 15 years to understanding, refining, and applying in practice the strategy full cycle process. So he has a tremendous experience over 25, 30 years of experience in general. But previously, last 15, 20 years, he spent enough time on understanding, and I think he's one of the best in strategy management globally. Through rigorous practice and continuous study, he has synthesized in an integrated framework that connects the dots of the most relevant concepts, theories, and methodologies in strategy management. This refined approach not only encapsulates the essence of strategy thinking, but also offers practical insights and actionable steps for organizations navigating the complexity of today's business landscape. So this is a very quick brief about Mihai. I would like to speak about myself after introduction of Amitabh, so that we can talk about it. Amitabh, nice to see you, Amitabh, after a long time. So welcome.
Nice to see you too.
Welcome to the show.
I've been tracking your activities and really great to see that, over the period of years, you have ventured into new things, and I've been tracking your success. So first of all, congratulations to you and thanks for inviting me.
Thank you, Amitabh. I will acknowledge that because I have a Six Sigma Black Belt training from you in 2009 when I was Vice President in Arasco. And Mihai, I took strategy training beginning of this year, okay, for the strategy clockwise. Okay, so let us do that. So quick introduction of Amitabh Saxena is a renowned expert in driving organizational success through the use of data analytics, machine learning, lean, Six Sigma, data science, artificial intelligence, and project management. With extensive 34-year career, he has been instrumental in leading transformative projects through Annexas, positively impacting over 300 plus or maybe more organizations in Europe, Middle East, India, US, Australia, just name it. As he's a published author, his works are many published has like an Amazon bestseller, Annexa story. There is an entrepreneur on everyone. So it's a great honor to connect again the show. So just to give introduction about myself, I am Sheikh Abdul Khader, CEO of Data Labs India. So I have around again 30 plus years of experience. Spent a lot of time in strategy management, supply chain management, business process excellence, and also the enterprise applications from IT side. So I'm an architect of through strategy, a comprehensive strategy management solution. which includes everything related to the strategy execution. Talk about it very briefly sometime. Okay, so I take this as an opportunity to invite all participants. Please feel free to raise your hands, join us for the discussion. I know you guys are very experienced in your domain, and so let's take it forward. So over to you, Mihail. A quick introduction, and yeah, please take it up.
Abdul, thank you very much for the introduction. I'm humbled by your words, and I thank you for participating in the explaining strategy course that we have online since the beginning of this year. Your contribution and your participation was brought in a lot of interesting topics, and that continues through the course. Now, on the topic of today's talk show, I would like to say the following as a beginning. When we execute or implement our strategy, assuming that we have a strategy that we have defined, we need to do various things that will help us fill the strategic gaps that have been identified as part of the strategy formulation process. The strategic gaps are related to the challenges, to the paramount challenges that we anticipate in the future of our organizations. They might be opportunities that we would like to harvest, or threats that we would like to defend against. And in order to do that, in the majority of the cases, in most cases, we do require a new strategy to allow us to position ourselves in such a way to best deal with the paramount challenges. And in doing that, for implementing our strategy, we typically don't have all the capabilities in place, all the processes, all the relationships, all the competencies, all the systems. So part of implementing or executing the strategy is to actually to put all those capabilities in place. And we make a selection of choices that allows us to position ourselves, and as a result, we identify some required capabilities, and in relation to those capabilities, the gaps of things that we don't have, or we have but not in the right configuration or at the right maturity level, in order to be able to translate our strategic choices into reality, into the reality of the value propositions that we bring into the market. Okay, so that's just a quick description of what our scope is related to strategy.
Excellent.
Now, yeah. So now those capabilities are actually twofold. Some of them are things that we never did before, or we never had before: competencies, systems, relationships, and we need to develop them. So typically to build them, or sometimes to acquire them, but we need to have them in place. And typically this is done through a number of strategic initiatives, which are projects that allow us to implement all those capabilities that that we don't have, that we must develop. But some of the gaps that we have identified are related to capabilities that we already have, but those capabilities, those competencies, those systems, those processes, those relationships are not really in the right configuration. That was the correct configuration until today, but in the future that won't be the required configuration, or the level of maturity, or the level of performance of certain processes. So those are also strategic gaps that we need to close. So that's why we have two types of activities related to implementing or to executing the strategy. Some of them are to building something that we don't have, just to simplify things, and some others to change what we already have. And the scope of this is to finally set in place the capability system required to implement our strategy. So that's something that that we need to do as we execute and or implement the strategy, to use the term that it's the most comfortable for you. Now, I would like to, with your permission, to share a few slides, because we are already talking about two activities. One of them is to
hey, if you give me, permit me, can we just do a quick introduction of Amitabh, and then you can just continue.
But before doing that, I just wanted to check with you that you can see the slides that I have shared with you.
See that screen? Yeah, screen is visible.
Okay.
Yeah, screen is visible. Okay. So thank you, Mihai, for the good start. I know there is a very important things we're going to discuss now. Okay. So Amitabh, yeah. So a quick introduction from you, so that the participants can know who joined late, and also yeah. So Amitabh, you like to give a few words so that to start with. If I'm unable to see you.
Yeah, so a little bit, maybe as an introduction, I'll just say that, first of all, good morning, everyone, and I'm delighted to be here again, once again, Sheikh Abdul Qadir. Thanks for inviting me here. And over the last 3 decades, as Sheikh Abdul Qadir was talking about, I had the privilege of working across multiple industries, helping businesses optimize their processes and achieve operational excellence. And wherever we have succeeded, sometimes, most of the time we have succeeded, sometimes we have failed also. But whenever we have succeeded, we've always seen that, the process excellence was aligned to the strategy. So whatever you are trying to achieve in terms of improving your processes, if they are not aligned with the strategy, obviously you are destined to fail. Now, where they were not aligned to strategies, well, we were not least bothered about as a consultant, because we have been consulting for so many years, because we got our money. But the organization failed to see the real benefits of those process excellence initiatives. And that's what we have seen over the period of time. And yeah, so on that note, it's so important for all the organizations for aligning the business process excellence to the strategy, both ways. So your excellence strategy should be aligned to, excellence initiative should be aligned to your strategy and your business strategy, which you are creating for your organization. So you would like to become number 1 or whatever you want to achieve as an organization, whatever is your vision, and you have created certain nice strategies for it. If you don't have process excellence element in it, you are, as an organization also, you'll find it very difficult to succeed. So both ways, it's alignment. So on that note,
Yeah. Thank you, Amitabh. We'll come back and talk more about process excellence. Okay. Yeah. So my view is.
Abdul, may I maybe suggest a conceptual correction to avoid the confusions that might be propagating. You might be familiar with the books that have been published by Robert Kaplan and David Norton about balanced scorecard, and probably many people are. And one of them is called Alignment. Yes. And the alignment process, in the way that they have defined it, it's related to aligning the organizational units and the individuals to the strategic plans that has been defined. So the term alignment, unfortunately, it's already reserved for the way that Kaplan and Norton have defined it. So therefore, whenever we talk about other processes, so not the organizational units and departments and functions and individuals, not aligning the organization to the strategic plan, therefore allowing people in the organization to contribute to executing the strategic plan, and that's alignment. It's vertical and horizontal, so that's alignment. Now, whenever we talk about other processes, other methodologies, other programs, other projects that are not part of strategy or the strategic plan, of being in line with the strategic plan, a better term is actually integration. So integrating two things, which needs to be in synchronization, to be synchronized in the way that what strategic plan it's asking us to do and what other programs are asking us to do. So integration, alignment, it's something else. It's already reserved for organizational alignment. And of course, the English language allows us to use alignment as any way we like. But if we want to be fully correct, the alignment is related to organizational alignment to the strategic plans that has been defined as a consequence of having a strategy, and the consecutive strategic plans are allowing us to implement or to execute the strategy. So therefore, of course, we might still use from time to time interchangeably integration and alignment, but the correct term, it's integration, not alignment. But it's, of course, people understand what we're talking about, but just for the sake of, to respect the legacy of David Norton and Robert Kaplan, we should probably try to respect the way that the term alignment should be used, not as the mundane use of the word alignment would be something that we would use in our statements.
Perfect. Makes sense. Yep. Yeah. So let us start our debate. So now we have 1 hour or so to discuss the key points, very interesting points. Let us start with the first thing. Okay, the strategy formulation and the role of business process excellence. As Amitabh also said, so the process excellence have to be considered while doing your strategy formulation or strategy planning or whatever you call it. So it must be considered what is your process capability to execute your business, to run your business. Okay, so let us start with that. So yeah, I think you are the best one to start with this. So now when we are doing a strategy formulation for a particular organization, whether it would be manufacturing, logistics, or any services organization. So how do you consider the business process capabilities and their maturities while doing the strategy formulation? I know this processes will come a little later, but so without having them in place, so it is not like a linear, it's like a iterative process. So what do you advise to start with? Yeah. You're in mute, Amin. Yeah, you are in mute, I believe.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so when we're talking about the, I hope that you can see the diagrams that I have on screen. It's called the integration diagram. Can you confirm that you're seeing it?
Yeah, we are seeing it.
Okay. So first of all, there is nothing to integrate with a strategy. The only thing that we can integrate with is a strategic plan, because the strategy is not sufficiently detailed and concrete and specific in terms of what needs to be done. So strategy, it's telling us what the choices are, what's the value propositions that are translating those choices into reality are, what are the required capabilities, what are the gaps to be closed, but it's not providing us sufficient concrete like a plan. Strategy is not a plan, of course, but the strategic plan is. And as a strategic plan, it's important because it tells us what do we need to do, exactly when, and who needs to do what in terms of implementing the strategy or executing the strategy. So therefore, any integrations that we're talking about, a variety of things with a strategy, in fact, they are integrated with the strategic plan. So we have some strategic choices, some existing capabilities, and when we look at what strategy requires us to do, what kind of capabilities must we have in place, then we can identify the strategic gaps. And the strategic gaps are things that we should develop or acquire or set in place, and that typically follows the two routes that I have mentioned. One of them is related to new capabilities that we need to develop. So we have the choice to build or to buy them and to integrate it within our organization, whether they are processes or relationships or systems or infrastructure or competencies or information or anything that is required and that we never had, activities that we never did. And that it's one side of executing the strategic plan. But then there are those existing capabilities which were sufficient for what we needed until today, but are no longer in line with what is required by our new strategy. So we need to change or to improve or to adapt or reconfigure them, and that is something very specific that the continuous improvement tools and programs are doing. And we're talking about things like applying the theory of constraints and about the process redesign, what business process management is doing, and also about the continuous improvement that is done using any Deming cycle kind of methodology, whether it's Lean Six Sigma, or it's a TPS or Kaizen or anything of that sort. Now, traditionally, these kind of systems, if we take, for example, the define, measure, analyze, improve, control loop specific to Six Sigma, you see that there is a starting point which is called define. And when you look more carefully at what define means, define is talking about customer needs and customer satisfaction and how can we address those needs. It's some sort of a surrogate of a strategy. And that is done when we don't have a strategy, when we don't have a continuous improvement program which is integrated with the strategic plan. But if we have a strategic plan that tells us exactly what needs to change during the course of this year, and next year we'll have another strategic plan, and so on until we finish implementing our multi-annual strategy. So the strategic plan tells us what needs to change. And some of the things that needs to change are existing processes and existing competencies and existing infrastructure, which, however, needs to be adapted, needs to be improved, needs to be reconfigured, needs to be brought, for instance, to a performance level or to a maturity level as mandated by our strategy and our strategic plan. And by integrating the define, measure, analyze, improve, control loop, actually only part of it, and actually replacing define with the specification of the strategic plan, then we can have a more strategic process of continuous improvement, because first of all, we can prioritize the focus. We don't need to improve all the processes throughout the entire organization. We can be focused in doing that by what the strategic plan requires us to do this year. And we can also look into what is going to be required next year and so on. because we have a certain breakdown of strategic gaps that needs to be closed each consecutive year during the time frame, which also calls the strategic horizon. So we will know exactly what do we need to measure, what to analyze, what to improve, and what to control in terms of changes that we have performed, and of course then informs the strategic plan about the outcomes resulting from those changes. So this transforms the continuous improvement program into a strategically integrated program, allowing us to handle the reconfigurations, the adaptations, the upgrading, the modifications, the improvement of the processes, of the competencies, of the system that allows us to perform certain activities and to be able to operationalize the activity system specific to one or more value propositions, which are resulting from implementing our strategy. And of course, then there is the other side, as I've mentioned, the new capabilities that we need to develop, and that's the other half of the story about how do we implement the strategic plan. And as a matter of fact, I will refer to what Kaplan and Norton have identified as the fishing analogy. And that's true that any quality systems or continuous improvement systems are allowing us to improve processes and to improve the ways that processes are integrated with infrastructure and capabilities and competencies and so on. But so that's equivalent to doing our activity better, or to fish better if we use the fishing analogy. But what strategy and is a specific tool used for strategic planning, which is the balanced scorecard, it's telling us it's actually where the fish are. What exactly should we improve? What strategic gaps do we have to close? What objectives do we need to accomplish with the support of the continuous improvement program that can be focused upon those changes which are mandated by the strategy, and that allows the continuous improvement programs to have also a significant role in executing the strategy.
That's a great point. If I do summarize, so you take an example of Six Sigma methodology. Fine, I think we'll ask Amitabh because he's expert in Six Sigma, master black belt trainer basically. So in my experience, what I did while leading the team of strategy and business process excellence, what did I do is, so once we have strategy formulated, we identify the key business processes at the high level business processes we can call, like order fulfillment, blah, blah, blah. So we had a list of processes, maybe 7, 8, 9, 10, maximum 12 high-level processes. And then the level 2 processes. So level 1 process, level 2 process. So we stop at that. So what we did is take up the strategy. So what are the key gaps to be closed after the strategy execution? Have all the business processes. Map these business processes against the strategic objectives. Have the proper mapping. So take the key strategic objectives needs to be achieved as part of strategy execution. Identify the key processes. Then for each process, come up with the process maturity. All process needs Six Sigma, not all processes needs TPM or something. So you have come up with some kind of plan. What is the level of process maturity? Once we have the level of process maturity, and then identify right approach. Do that. So then you classify them into programs. It could be a Lean Six Sigma program, it could be a ERP optimization program, or it could be introducing a business process reengineering of any disconnected processes. So then you have the priority set by the strategy. What are the key objectives you need to achieve? Take the processes, prioritize them, and then you have a process maturity. apply those concepts, a fantastic concept of process excellence, Lean Six Sigma, TQM, and then achieve what you want to achieve. This is a cycle. So you keep on doing this year on year. So what happens is you have a very fine-tuned engine with you and to support your strategy formulation and also strategy. So it works tremendously. One important point is not all processes are of the same importance. So where to fish is something which is very important. Then how to fish, you do it very aggressively, properly, and then you get the results. That is a fantastic way to do. Amitabh, I know you keep talking about this. Uh, Defining part is very crucial. Okay, most of the people select the wrong ones. That is the reason maybe they don't achieve so much results what they're expecting, but they may achieve. Okay, and then how important the defined part in your whole cycle, because that is a more popular one. Because I know you can talk about other also, but defined part is more or less common for all process excellent initiatives. So what is the most uh, common errors process excellence managers or teams do? Amitabh.
Yeah, so some of the uh, biggest mistakes people commit is, in the initial stages, in fact, we allow these mistakes, but as we proceed, as they mature as an organization which has embraced process excellence, usually we try to, uh, you know, try to take an action on those mistakes. So let me, some basic things, let me talk about very, very basic mistakes. First of all, as you rightly mentioned, that the defining itself, at the defining stage, they do not define the problem correctly. Now, if you don't define the problem correctly, the strategy itself, which you are formulating to improve a process. Now I'm talking about a strategy on a process excellence level now. So there's your strategy itself, you're not defining the direction correctly in the defined phase. Naturally, your strategy, you have not got the wrong direction. And coming to Mihail's point, that if you're not going to, you're not fishing the right waters. You know how to fish, you know what is DMAC, you know what are your tools, techniques, Pareto diagrams, and control charts, but you don't know which project to undertake. That's one of the biggest mistakes, and I would fully agree with you first, Sheikh, on that. Now, the other mistakes which people commit is, siloed thinking. Siloed thinking means, coming to again Mihail's point, he was talking about Poogie, which talks about the constraints, theory of constraints. Where usually you want to improve your organization and you try to automate in each and everything. One CEO goes and attends some conference in US, or he attends some exhibition in Dubai, and after that he says, "Wow, this is a very nice automation software. I want to have it." And or they blindly automate. They automate certain processes and the departments and feel happy about it, and then finally they say, "Well, I'm not getting any results. But this automation software is not working, or this system is flawed, or it's a flop." So definitely that is not the case. Coming to the same point, the second mistake, you are having silo thinking. Means this is my department, I would like to improve the department, but look at your constraint. Is your department the constraint? Maybe in your organization or in the system of your organization. Think about the systems. I'm going back to Deming, as I was talking about. Systems thinking. Think about your organization as a system of suppliers, input, processes. You have got multiple departments. They are working in synchronization, to deliver the output to the customers. The same simple tool of SIPOC, or you can say value stream map. Think about the system. Now, you are not thinking about the system. You are thinking about your department or my process, and I will automate my process. And the great strategy, but you failed. Even going to the 2 points Mihai described.
you can develop new capabilities, or you can improve upon your existing capabilities. In both the things, you need to have a systems thinking, not siloed thinking. That is one second mistake I see people committing. And then the third mistake is lack of data-driven decision making. Even in strategies, when you're formulating your strategies, if you have not used the data, correct data, nowadays everyone is talking about data. A lot of data is available. Sometimes you have to collect new data. Sometimes we say, well, I have got a lot of data in my organization. We capture a lot of data, a lot of Excel sheets, a lot of different automated systems capturing so much of data. Don't worry about the data. But the problem is not where you are finding, like it's like that old joke of one person searching for a diamond ring, and he's searching a diamond ring, and then his friend tries to help him, and both of them search for a long time. Then his friends ask him, what exactly happened? Tell me what exactly where did you drop your diamond ring? And this person says, I dropped the diamond ring somewhere, say 100 meters away. So the friend asks him, why you are not searching there where you lost it? So he said, where, in fact, where I have actually dropped it, there is no light. There is all darkness there. So how can I search in the darkness? Now, obviously, his friend is going to tell him that you will never get your diamond ring. You will never be able to find your diamond ring. Similarly, diamond ring is the solution to our problems in the organizations. And we are looking for our solution in the existing data. The light is that data. The light is the data. So you have to throw the light or collect the data where your problem is. Don't look for your solutions in the existing data. We are overwhelmed with the data. So we have got a lot of data. We don't have to collect new data. No, you have to collect the data. So that is one thing. Lack of data-driven decision making, not willing to collect the new data, trying to work on existing data. That is one thing. And I think these maybe I'll just do with the three major mistakes for this. In fact, there are many mistakes, but I would stop myself by just telling the top three mistakes which I've seen people committing here.
Yeah. So thank you, Amitabh. Very nice. So select the right problem to solve, and then you apply the right methodology to solve the problem. Then you will find the results. If you choose the wrong problem, you end up getting something, but that may not help you succeed from the strategy point of view. Okay, so that is very important to have. So you also covered very important data availability. Nowadays, is talking about artificial intelligence. Okay, so everybody is now even some people are talking about even the strategy can be done by artificial. So as this is a very important element point, so in my opinion, strategy formulation is definitely you have to do it your own. Every CEO and every senior leader have to do it. You should not say that artificial intelligence will come up with the KPIs. Artificial intelligence will derive your strategy. Okay, that is something which is a big problem nowadays, because everybody is talking about AI, do everything. Okay, so now AI can be used to collect whatever data you want to, whatever analysis you want to. That's a good point. You can save your time there. You can get some good insights. But at the end of the day, you have to work on it and identify what choices you make and how you position yourself, and also what kind of problem, how do you close the gaps, and what is your strategy to execute. I think this is one of the important points we don't want to keep that. So Mihai, it's a common mistake. I know you keep answering. Please, can you just quickly talk about that? It's very important for the audience also.
Just let me understand. You'd like me to talk about using data for the strategy, or artificial intelligence, or what exactly do you want me to talk about?
About defining strategies through artificial intelligence. Okay. So now we see a lot of posts in the LinkedIn, and we see everybody is talking about this. Okay. So AI-driven strategy, something like that. So can you just give us a clear idea what is it the organization should do?
Well, I can only share what I did myself. I don't want to speculate, and of course, reading something and telling you what I have read, that's probably not something very productive. But I can tell you what I did, and what I have seen, and what I'm still working on in relation to that subject. However, I would like to, if it's possible, to address a question that has been addressed through the website. It was a question received from Ramana Murthy, and he's a business excellence analyst, and he's asking what is going on with the feedback from the continuous improvement program back to the strategy, actually to the strategic plan. And I want to clarify this a little bit, if you allow me to do it. So first of all, the strategic plan, it's a decision support system. So I will just say it again. The strategic plan, it's a decision support system allowing us to take the necessary corrective actions and to adapt our strategy and even the strategic plan itself at the right moment in time based on the information collected about the ongoing process of strategy implementation or strategic plan execution. So we see what kind of output and outcome do we get along the year, and we'll do the same next year. And based on that, we identify the invalid hypotheses or assumptions that we have used while formulating the strategy and while designing our strategic plan. Those are our hypothesis-based constructs. Strategy, it's a hypothesis construct. It's hypothesis about the future. And we need to have a certain projection about what might happen in the future, about the paramount challenges that we're going to confront, and what might be the strategic choices which in the future will allow us to deal with those paramount challenges and surmount them. And as a consequence of that, we understand what kind of capabilities do we require to turn those strategic choices into value propositions and into something that allows us to position ourselves in the market according to what we need to do to surmount or overcome those paramount challenges. And everything, it's about the future. We need to build all those projection and all those decisions on something in the future. The same we do with the strategic plan. We decide what kind of objective are we going to achieve, which are going to be the strategic initiatives that we're not going to use to accomplish those objectives, and respectively to close the strategic gaps which are included in our strategic objectives. And again, that it's a game of hypothesis about the future. We assume that a certain strategic initiative as a project will be able to deploy a certain capability, a certain new process, or a certain new management system, which will close a certain strategic gap. But we have no guarantees that this is what is going to happen. So that's why we need a system of measurement, which is used as part of the strategic plan, to be able to tell us if we are achieving what we intended to achieve or not. Because as soon as we know that, and that's why we use a system of lead and lag KPIs, for instance, on the performance of achieving the strategic objectives, it tells us this is the right time when you need to take a corrective action. Or there might be some hypothesis related to the strategy model or to the strategic plan model, and we need to replace that invalid hypothesis. We learned that it's invalid, but only now, and we need to replace it, and therefore use a different component, a different strategic objective, maybe a different strategic choice, so something different that is going to change the plans that you have this year for for closing certain strategic gaps. And part of those strategic gaps are actually closed by the continuous improvement system, because that is the one half of strategic plan execution done in relation to the capabilities that we already have. So they need to be changed and improved and adapted in the ways that it's required by the strategy. And that means that also the information provided from the strategic plan to the continuous improvement program is going to be dynamic. In the middle of the year, we're going to tell them, no, we employed a wrong hypothesis somewhere, which tells us to actually improve a certain process to a certain maturity level. That is not right. We learned that the hypothesis has been invalid. So we need to change the level, for instance, of maturity to another level that we understood that is the correct one. And accordingly, the continuous improvement program needs to modify their actions in order to and the analysis and the improvement actions that they are taking accordingly. So that's how it works. And then guess what happens? As those things are performed as part of the continuous improvement project, we're going to measure with our system of measurements that we have inside the strategic plan. We have a system of measurements. We have scorecards at organizational level, at business unit level. We also have risk scorecards and an entire system of measurement. And we're using that to see if the outcome is the ones that we needed. And that is the feedback loop. Because whatever changes are going to be performed by the continuous improvement project, we're going to measure the outcome in the scorecards of the strategic plan system. So that's when we look at that and said, okay, no, that's not enough what you did. You need to continue doing it because you haven't reached the right level of improvement, or you haven't reached the right configuration for that existing process that needed to be reconfigured. So that's as a kind of feedback that we get continuously as the continuous improvement program is performing their activity, and they are producing results which are also outcomes for implementing the strategic plan. So that's just to clarify a little bit the feedback loop that exists between the strategic plan and the continuous improvement program, whichever that might be. Okay, just wanted to address this because it was a question raised by someone, and I presume that kind of question would have been in the mind of many other people, and I just wanted to address it. Okay, now about the using of data and artificial intelligence, I can only share with you what I did. So far, I did two things. First of all, I have used even the large language models like ChatGPT to be able to help the strategic analysis. So as you probably know, as part of the strategic analysis, we're trying to create an image of the future. And the image of the future is related to a number of criteria. And just as a typical tool set, we use, for instance, something that you know very well, something called PESTEL, which is a macroeconomic 6 criteria analysis framework, and then we use Porter 5 forces for the microeconomic environment inside our industry or arena. And therefore we have, like, for instance, 11 criteria that allows us to try to figure out what might happen in the future. And that's what we're doing. Our strategy is based on a projection of what might happen in the future. And we identify trends and hypotheses, trends and weak signals and uncertainties about the future. And of course, we are using the best knowledge with the team in a practical implementation, with the team who typically is the executive team of the company, and they know very well the industries, they know the competitions, they know the customers, so they are the best experts in their industry, and they can use all their collective intelligence to be able to anticipate what might happen. But sometimes if you ask, like, ChatGPT is the most advanced version of ChatGPT or an equivalent of what do you think about for instance, the demographics or the social factors that might influence our industry in the next 5 years, what do you think that those driving forces might be? And sometimes you get the same answers as the one produced by the executive team when they try to understand what is important there. But in approximately 20% of the cases, I have got something that is complementary, something new, something that the people didn't think about, which means that you can use the large language models inside the strategic analysis in our effort to try to create a picture of the future. Because now tools like ChatGPT, they have access to the internet, to information which are relatively updated. They have access to a very large volume of information, and sometimes they come with something that can be useful. Not always, but let's say in up to 20%, you can get some complementary ideas that can create an even more complete picture of the future than the ones that you have created with the collective intelligence and knowledge of the executive teams that is running the strategic analysis. So that's something that I did, and it works, and it's fine, and I'm going to continue using it, and even in an automated mode, using the APIs that is made available by OpenAI. Okay, that's one thing to use artificial intelligence. The next thing that I did, the next part of related to the strategy cycle where I used it, it's actually I used the machine language. I'm sorry, the machine learning algorithm. It's not a large language models. I've used the machine learning system that is made available in the practical case. What I used was to use something provided by IBM, and that allowed us to connect the chains of hypotheses that we have employed when building the strategy and the strategic plan with the outcomes that we collected in these scorecards. Because everything that you measure, even as a simple KPI, if you track back, where did this KPI came from? It came from a strategic gap inside a strategic objective. It came from an associated strategic initiative. But where did those came from? They came from an analysis of gap analysis with existing capabilities. And where did that come from? It came from an analysis of the activity system required for one of the future value propositions that will translate our strategic choices into reality. And where did that come from? So you see, we can go back on a trace. There is a traceability inside the strategy cycle that allows us to go back and identify the root cause, which represents the invalid hypothesis, because each of all those steps, all those stages, we have employed a set of hypotheses and assumptions about the future, and we have recorded it very well in association with each of the components of our strategy or strategic plan. And this kind of chaining of logical chain of decisions that we have taken using hypotheses allows us to go back and identify the most probable root cause of the malfunction, of the bad results that we have got in our scorecard. And there are a great number of such chains which are interfering with each other. And in order to try to understand this, of course, you can do it intuitively and look at the scorecard and say, well, let's think about what might have caused this, because we see some, a red KPI or a strategic objective that is not achieved, and of course the question is, okay, what has produced this negative results? What can we do to correct it? But first of all, we need to understand what exactly do we need to correct, where to apply our correction, or where to adapt our model. So what I have done in practice, I have used the assisted learning per the model to tell them, if you change this hypothesis from valid to invalid, what is going to be along the chains of hypotheses and decisions taken, what would be the most probable effect on a scorecard? And we have done that again and again and again for hundreds of times until we have created a certain understanding of the model about what might be the relationship between a root cause and the effect seen at the other end in the scorecards. And then we have used reinforcement learning because we have performed the execution of the plan, and whenever the result has been correct, the one anticipated by the or recommended by the machine learning model, we have told them, yes, that was a right identification of the root cause of the negative effects that we have seen in the in our scorecard. So these are the two things that I have did with using artificial intelligence in relating to the strategy cycle. They are still work in progress. I'm not satisfied by the results. I think that they can still be improved, but these are two very practical examples of what you can use artificial intelligence in relation to strategy, both the strategy formulation as well as strategy execution.
Thank you, Mihai. Thank you very much. Mihai, if you don't mind, can you share your stop your screen share? I think it's taking some space. If you don't mind. Yeah. So very interesting point. I think artificial intelligence can be used in many ways. I think it's going to evolve. I think there are multiple ways where it can be used most productively. Yeah, we'll do that. I think as we are talking about process excellence. Okay, so let us hear now something about business process excellence. So what is business process excellence? What kind of methodologies are there? Which methodology should be what point? Okay, very quickly, Amitabh, can you give a quick briefing because of the, then I will talk about how to organize this initiative and then how to get the results from the process excellence and connect back to the strategy again. So let us close this loop. So give us an idea briefly about business process excellence methodologies and what are the methodologies and how it is used very quickly. Amitabh.
Yeah, so most popular nowadays, as we have already mentioned that word many times, Lean, Six Sigma, DMAC, that is the most popular. But apart from that, we have Kaizen, we have got DQM as well. We have got sometimes if you want to use just some 7 QC tools very quickly to improve, show some process improvements here and there in the organization. Although it may not help you with the overall strategy implementation, but yeah, still you can start with something. Okay, Mihail, if you can unshare your screen so I can share my screen as well. So, although I have got not many slides, I did not prepare any slides, but still I can briefly talk about something. Okay, I think oh yeah, well, I will. Yeah, so as I'm searching for my slides, like I would, as I said, I never prepared any slides, but I'll just borrow some of my slides from my previous presentations, if that is fine with you. See, the thing is, okay, maybe without a slide, I'll go. So, see, the thing is that most popular, as I was talking about, is Lean and Six Sigma. And Lean and Six Sigma have been now combined together because they're doing pretty well independently in their own way. So the most of the process improvement specialists and professionals have integrated them together. Lean talks about finding the constraint, reducing the waste, reducing your cycle times, and also applying methodologies like Boka-Yoke and continuous flow concept to improve the processes. And as in the beginning we saw that whatever strategy you have created, if you want to execute, that's what you are looking for. So if you want to execute and if you have chosen the right processes to improve, process excellence tools are very much required to achieve what you have envisioned to achieve. So that is one thing which where process excellence comes into picture. And when you're talking about Six Sigma, so lean, as I described, it's about reducing the waste, waiting times, 7-8 wastes, etc. But but in Six Sigma, we are reducing the variation in our processes, and variation is key enemy of excellence. So in case, if you want to standardize your processes, you want to make your products predictable, your processes and the outputs predictable, Six Sigma can definitely help you there. So both combined together can work wonders. At times, apart from that, although Hoshin Kanri or balance scorecards are more of strategic tools, but the best of the best projects can be identified when, if you are using Ocean Canary or balance scorecard or any methodology which you have decided to implement your strategy or execute your strategy, choose your best projects from the processes which are directly linked to the strategic business objectives of the organization. Similarly, in balance scorecard also, if you are looking for Lean and Six Sigma projects, or any improvement projects for that matter, because you can choose TQM projects also. You can have, in fact, there is a very thin dividing line between all Kaizen, Six Sigma, Lean, TQM, and so many other popular methodologies that I bracket everyone together into process excellence. So if you are choosing your projects, whatever methodology you're following, choose your projects from these balance scorecards or Ocean Canary. If you have created your X metrics in Ocean Canary, you will succeed. Your likelihood of sustaining that particular process excellence program would be higher because the senior management will see the results coming in from these initiatives. They don't see this in isolation, some methodology someone is running in isolation and someone is enthusiastic about it and just blindly doing some projects, rather than if they are aligned with your KPIs and the key business processes which you have identified in your strategy implementation tool, that really works well. So these are the tools I would say are available for process excellence in today's world as of now. We also foresee that as we see AI being adopted everywhere, and in the next 10 to 15 years, the progress which we are going to see in terms of AI adapting the AI for both strategy and process excellence is going to be much more than what we are seeing today. People are in the experimental stage. And as earlier Mihai was talking about the hypothesis, these process excellence methodologies are the best, I would say, tools to prove your hypothesis, whether whatever you strategized or whatever you thought would work is really working or not. So partly it may happen that your strategy was right, but it was not well executed. So sometimes we may say that, maybe the strategy was not rightly framed, but it could be other way around also. The strategy was correct, whatever you formulated was okay, but you failed to implement it or execute it. In order to succeed in your whatever strategies you have built in order to succeed there, Lean and Six Sigma, Kaizen, TQM, and all these process excellence methodologies can really help.
Fantastic. I think I would like to give a quick, maybe 4 minutes, maybe maximum 5 minutes, overview about how I did myself about the process excellence. But I will do the demo through the system so that it will be easy for me to share directly what. So let me share my screen if you are able to see it. Yeah, you are able to see the screen. Yeah, so basically this is a full strategy. So we have It's a strategy execution solution. Talk about strategy analysis, balance scorecard, initiatives, okay, strategy reviews, enterprise PMO, people performance, all the modules. An interesting module which is very relevant for our today's discussion is business process excellence. Okay. So in the business process excellence, what we do is to define business processes. First of all, so what are your key business processes? So when you in the business processes, what is it you want to classify? Sorry. So what is all your business processes? Then for each process, what are the KPIs you have? Okay, so business process, you define some sort of KPIs for each business process so that you can know whether this process is matured enough or is it working fine or not. All the related KPIs can be linked to the process. Then for this, you define a business process excellence methodologies, whatever methodologies you feel comfortable for a particular organization as a process excellence team or center of excellence or whatever you call, whether you are doing a DMAC or whether it is a ERP implementations, whatever you define them, link the business processes to the process excellence methodology based on the maturity of the process. So once you do that, okay, so you keep reporting the process KPI story every month or so, and then business process story. So how this business process is working on a month-on-month basis. Okay, so you report that. So whether this process is doing what it's supposed to do, any other challenges, something like that. So finally, you can see what is your business process matrix. I'll just show you one diagram here, which will tell you. Okay, so this is a strategic objectives. Then you have a business processes. Okay, so which process is aligned, is integrated or linked to which strategic objectives? You can see the darker the color, the more influential. The light color means it's less influencing. Then you define them, the process, like strategic impact of this process or effort required to achieve excellence, and then risk of failure for this project. Okay, so then you have some sort of matrix you can see, and then you have chosen already what is the methodology you want to adopt. Then based on this, you will get a flag. Okay, so if I generate once again, okay, so on a month-on-month basis, on a particular year-on-month, you can see the business process performance. You can see it. So this is how we have linked strategy to the process excellence. Now, I'll take you one more step. If there is any questions, I will be happy to answer. Now, how do we do that? Let me show you something as a part of
You have used actually balanced scorecard for continuous improvement.
I linked the strategic objectives. I linked strategic objectives
because for many objectives there is no link to a process. It's actually linked to something else on a process. So yeah,
that is true, sir. Okay, so I'll just show you how that process, the strategy map. So this is a strategy map for a particular month or so. So if you have a revenues, so strategy map, these perspectives can be like the outcomes, the stakeholders, whatever. And then if you click on any particular objective, so you see the whole story of this particular strategic objective. It could be a measure performance, it's the objective performance, the initiatives connected, the risks connected to this, and then the people performance, the people connected to this strategic objective, the team connected to it. In case if you are using a team performance based on the HR performance, and then the business process. Okay, so this is where when we have that matrix in place, you can see the business process and also value gap closures. So by looking at the strategy map, we can connect everything. So we are talking both the top down and the bottom up at the same time, because I have been a manager strategy team and also the business process excellence team. So always they work in silos, in my experience. I hope it will change now. So it's always say they have a different approach. They more focus on the tools and techniques. Amitabh, if you can correct me about tools and techniques. Expert in using statistics. Okay.
You are right. You are right.
They're fantastic. I learned a lot from you, by the way, Amitabh. They're fantastic. They're super excited to use all the tools. But maybe you don't need a tool at all. Maybe a simple tool to give you. Okay, maybe sometimes the simple tool does not work, a complicated tool. So the thing is, you come up with a strategy, you manage in a disciplined way, make it easy, and then pay attention to this. I think that's the one key intake. So I do. How does that people performance link? So people who have like individual performance, like as an individual, the team performance, 360-degree review, the performance, like a weighted average of these three. So, and this is actually how this can be improved. We talk about 9-box model or competence-based HR. So in the competency, we talk about how to close the people gaps, like one where we are talking about process gaps through Lean Six Sigma approach and people gaps. How you talk about training programs, competency charts, whatever you do it. And these people performance initiatives, the business process excellence initiatives, any other initiatives, capital expense initiatives, all will come to enterprise PM. So you can have a program for individuals. Okay? So these programs, you can do it and then you can execute in such a way that you monitor the outcomes. So that was a very quick thing. So I don't want to take I don't want to make it as a demo, but all these moving parts in the organizations, when you link it, okay, you get complete control of your whole organization, okay, and then you make a very big impact of what we are going to achieve. So that's a quick point. Any inputs? I happy to answer. So the next topic what we talk about is you have process excellence teams, you have strategy analysts, office of strategy management. Usually they are disconnected, usually. Okay. So how can we do that? This is one of the very important points. We need to make sure that they are aligned. So this is something I would like to ask Mihai. In your experience, what is an advice for the participants? That is one question. The second question is, you have identified the key gaps to be closed through process excellence, initiative by initiative, because you need to close one initiative to close some gap in the strategy or whatever. Then they need to be organized in such a way that the sequence, there must be a sequence. You should not haphazardly do it. There must be a sequence so that you get the result. Okay. So now how to organize this program, the process excellence program, in alignment with the strategy, and then how you measure the results to close the gap. Okay. So Mihai, first of all, let us start with the people. So process excellence managers or office of operational excellence, strategy, office of strategy manager. Please.
Yeah. Well, first of all, anything which doesn't is not included in the strategic plan will not be executed. So if you don't include it in the strategic plan, don't expect it to happen, to be executed. Of course, there is some sort of a, let's say, popular execution of the strategy. You communicate, people understand the strategy, and they make small changes here and there wherever they can to be convergent with the strategy. But that's the unplanned strategy execution. You cannot very much control that. You don't have a feedback loop. You can't apply corrective actions there. You just feed information to the people and hope that they are going to somehow perform any small changes that are convergent with the strategy. The foundation, it's still, or the basis that you can control, it's still the strategic plan. You have a plan, you have you're targeting some processes that you never had before that you need to put in place, some competences that you never had that you need to acquire, or to train your people to learn some new things as required to implement some new processes or to deliver some new value propositions as mandated by the strategy. So everything that needs to happen needs to be in the strategic plan. If it's not in the strategic plan, it will not happen, or it will happen in a random way, non-controllable way, something that you can't really have a feedback loop, something that you can apply corrective actions or adaptation to. So therefore, it needs to be there. Now, the alignment process, if it's correctly performed, even if it's related to projects which are strategic initiatives, or if we're talking about the activities which are part of the continuous improvement program, they need to be highlighted inside the strategic plan. You need to be able to monitor them. The outcome and the output from any improvement process, improvement activity of a certain process needs to be something that we have in the scorecards. Otherwise, how can we tell if we're achieving something that we want to achieve? It needs to produce outputs and outcomes which we can measure in the system of scorecards. Otherwise, it would be just, you wish that some improvements might happen, but you can't really control them. That's why, of course, the feedback loop that you get from the continuous improvement program needs to be to find its way into the scorecards that you use to measure the progress of executing the strategic plan. And then, because you have an alignment, to the business units, and you have an alignment to the teams and to the individual inside those teams. And if they are participating in the continuous improvement program, if you have, let's say you have a team of 10 people under your management, and 2 of them are participating in a continuous improvement program for the processes that you are performing with your team. You're managing together with your team a number of processes, and 2 of your people out of 10 are participating in the continuous improvement program, or maybe, I don't know, 5 of them, depends on what's the defined contribution. Because they are contributing to something that is related to the strategic plan. Even if it's an improvement of existing process, it's modifying some processes, maybe streamlining some activities that were performed before for better performance, for obtaining better performance. They are participating in something that originated from the strategic plan. And if it's originated from the strategic plan, it needs to be in the measurement system. And if it's in the measurement system, and these people have been a part of the alignment process, and they have individual scorecards, the output from their contribution to the continuous improvement program needs to show up inside the individual scorecards that they have. And if it does, they can look and say, okay, we have changed, we have streamlined this process, and now next month we see what the results are. And that shows, obviously, for the process of the entire team, of the department or functions that you have, but it also shows in their individual scorecards, because they are connected, they are part of the system of measurement. And by doing this, you're actually allowing those people to understand if they are contributing successfully or unsuccessfully to the activities which are part of the continuous improvement program. And the same happens if they are participating in some strategic initiatives of something completely new, which is not continuous improvement. It's actually creating some new processes, a new value proposition, setting up a new system that was never used before, and they are part of the strategy execution as well. So as long as these people are part of the alignment system, so you align the strategic plan to all the functions and strategic business units, and inside each strategic business unit, you do the alignment for the strategic job families, people who have these contributions to some activities which are either strategic initiatives projects, or they are activities of the continuous improvement program. And you might have both kind of people inside your team, and those guys are going to have individual scorecards, which are linking their activity inside those projects, inside the continuous improvement program, with the output and outcomes that results from 1 month to another in the changes that we're trying to achieve. And if that's not happening, it will show up as some red KPIs and red objectives on their individual scorecard, on the department scorecard, and maybe even in the organizational scorecard. So we will know that we need to take some corrective actions. That's what the strategic plan is. It's a decision support system. That's what we're using it for, and therefore you'll have the possibility to link the individual contribution and the activities that they are performing together with the outcomes which are monitored as part of the strategic planning, executing the strategic plan. So that's one question about the people. I don't know any other kind of answer to give you related to how can you monitor the performance down to the individual, because strategies are executed at the level of these guys who are participating, they are contributing to certain initiatives and to certain activities of the continuous improvement program. So that's what makes them meaningful and related and involved and integrated in the strategic process of changing the organization. So yeah, that's about the people, the people question. Now, what was the second topic?
Basically, we talk about how this Office of Strategy Management and also the Process Excellence team or Center of Excellence, because the Office of Operational Excellence. How can we put in reality?
Well,
always.
Yeah, well, true. The Office of Strategy Management should not overlap their area of authority or their activities with other offices, coordinating offices inside the organization. For instance, if you have a project management office, then of course the OSM doesn't do the management of the projects. They are handing over the strategic initiatives to the PMO, and PMO then manages them with the tools specific for project management, involving various people from various departments, from various functions to participate in those projects, and they are feeding back information to the Office of Strategy Management, maybe even inputting them directly about the progress of the project, about the output from the some defined outputs that we have defined as part of the measurement system for those projects, but they are actually managing. So we are talking about an integrated activity between the Office of Strategy Management and the Project Management Office. Now, something similar happens with the Continuous Improvement Program. If you have an excellence team, someone who's defined as an Office of Excellence, or however you want to name it inside the organization, they are going to manage all the activities related to the improvement or changing of existing processes, of existing capabilities. So they are going to be handed over all the activities related to this, and they are going to manage it and define who's participating and who's doing what inside of that. What are we doing first? What are we doing second in terms of optimizing a process? And they are managing all that, and they are of course reporting back to what have we achieved, and sometimes even inputting directly into the system, assuming that there is an information system there. They're inputting the something related to the output and outcomes from those their activities. For instance, level of performance achieved, or level of failures in the process that expected to reach a certain level, but they are integrated in executing the strategy. But you have this cooperation. It doesn't make sense for the Office of Strategy Management to manage projects if there is a PMO inside the organization. It doesn't make sense for the Office of Strategy Management to manage continuous improvement if you have an excellence team inside the organization. They're only going to hand over what has been decided as part of the strategic plan, and get back the information about the progress and about the outcomes that are achieved, and then analyzed as part of the strategy review meetings. And that's very normal to happen like this.
Perfect. Thank you, Mihai. Now let us understand Thank you, Mihan. It's very interesting, very appropriate for the process. You clearly defined the limits of Office of Strategy Management, PMO, in case of Center of Excellence for process improvement. So, Amitabh, I would like to ask you how this Center of Excellence for process improvement work in reality. Okay, so how you have strategy inputs, you have a sequence of projects to be handled, you have set guidelines or something, then you have your own understanding. How this Office of Excellence, office we call it, I was calling it Office of Operation Excellence. So how does that work? And then how do they give feedback to the strategy? What is it achieved? And then take the feedback. So how does this whole mechanism work? Can you give a quick briefing about it?
Yeah. So if your organization has a proper uh, mm, like balance scorecard or a X matrix in place, or for that matter, even flu strategy in place, I would say. In this case, it's very easy for the process excellence team to choose the projects and also prove that whatever their outcome is, whatever their savings are, because whenever you are executing any process improvement, especially Center of Excellence teams, they work by undertaking projects, most of the cases. So whatever their projects are delivering, they are actually able to deliver what the strategy department expected to get delivered. So that is very easy. But most of the times I have seen that even these things are in place, or if they are not in place, both the cases. Because even if they are in place, but the way the data is captured, the way these tools is used, and the biggest challenge is the people don't update. They're part of the KPIs or the you can't automate, beyond a certain extent. You can't have maybe after 10 years there would be an AI which capture the person what exactly he's doing and collect the data and feed it into the system. It's a long way to go. So someone has to feed the data in those systems, and so that a strategy ultimately can get the get to know whether the strategies are working or not. So to your question, first let me explain how a center of excellence works. And I would talk about an ideal condition, and then deviations are always there. So the best center of excellence teams, they have a group of a mix of three professionals, I would say. Some are definitely very highly experienced process excellence professionals who have got some good experience in some previous organization. We can call, in Lean Six Sigma, we call them master black belts. And then either they hire process improvement specialists like black belts. You can call black belts, or not necessarily you have to be a black belt. It could be any professional who knows these data analytics tools and techniques. And typically nowadays, going by what we see in the industry, it's typically this person is a black belt. So you either hire those black belts or you create those black belts within the organization. And in this case, the master black belt himself or herself can create those black belts by training them, guiding them, mentoring them. I don't recommend that. That should be happening, because then most of the time master black belt will end up, doing trainings and managing projects. So in such situations, you will typically hire an external consultant who would do this training. So either you create a black belt or you have your black belts hired from somewhere else. So this one is highly experienced professional, process excellence professional. Second is the hardcore data analysts and the so-called black belts. And the third is subject matter expert who's not in operations now anymore. He has to be taken out from the operation. He should not be part of the operations. So this person knows in and out of that particular department. He is from finance. He knows finance, what's happening. He knows all the politics of that particular department. He is in operations. He knows those machines, which machine is working, which machine is not working. So then in this case, the Center of Excellence team, if it is created in this fashion, it's a very good fatal combination, to attack those process defects, errors, or whatever you're trying to defeat. You're on a battleground, against those errors, defects, etc., which are obviously are linked to the strategic business objectives. So this is the very, very ideal team, as I said. This is to answer your first part of the question. And the second part of the question was that how do we prove, how do we give our feedback? As one of the comments was there, feedback loop is very important. So how do we give the feedback? So in Lean Six Sigma, the whole thing is, structured in a way that when the black belt or the green belts who are doing these projects, they present these projects to their own the process owners, their champions, and only if champions and the process owners and the master black belts say that you really made a difference to my organization, then only he gets certified. And when he's proving his case, when he's defending his project, he particularly will bring on some of the intangible and tangible benefits, which are a result of which are sort of a result of his project. This collective information gives a very nice feed to the strategic management office that these strategies are working, or they need to be realigned, or we are in different direction, and then we thought that you'll be achieving X and you are achieving something else. So I think this is integrated in Lean Six Sigma. That's why I find Lean Six Sigma. Still, people tell me, like, for the last 30 years I've been into Lean Six Sigma. Why I'm not going anywhere else? The thing is, I'm saying that whatever new things are happening, but the Lean Six Sigma is like something which is more like a system by itself. It's just not a certification. It's a system by itself, and it very well integrates in any organization, especially if you are trying to link the strategies to your process excellence initiatives.
Perfect. Yeah. So thank you, Amitabh. Thank you. Very insightful thing. So you need to have a master black belt to lead the whole engagement. You need to have black belts or any other suitable person of the same level for the different methodology, and also subject matter experts. If you don't have subject matter experts, you will be doing the path, but you don't know you don't identify the right things. That's fantastic. I think we have one question from I just read it loud. Agree completely with the feedback loop that is required, continuous improvement interventions and strategic plan. Do you feel there is an optimal frequency of this review process, and who should form a team that conduct the review and any necessary adjustments? So both of you can answer. Yeah.
Can you repeat the question? Because so first of all, is there somewhere where we can read the question, or can you repeat it? I haven't understood the question.
Like to speak yourself, please feel free. Yeah. I think we can make it.
You can find the question in the chat. So on the bottom right corner, you see a chat icon. So you are on mute, Mihai.
So we're talking about David Thompson's question?
That is right, yeah.
So let me see. Continuous improvement intervention and strategic plan. Feedback loop. Do you feel there is an optimal frequency for this review process? Well, as part of the strategic plan, at least if we follow the Kaplan and Norton execution premium process experience, and that results from thousands of implementing of the framework, the frequency tends to be monthly. And it tends to be monthly because there are a lot of monthly cadences inside the organization. You have the monthly meetings at the operational levels for a variety of of things of what we're going to do next month and stuff like this. So it's typically a monthly review of the progress. And we are looking at the KPIs which are showing some output, maybe some final or intermediary or partial output. And then we're also looking at some outcome. Outcome is typically we're looking at measuring something that it's the final effect resulting from any kind of improvement or any kind of initiative to implement something new. And we look at both those things and try to understand if everything is green, which never happens, it means that all our hypotheses about the right scope for the changes to be implemented, the right scope for the new capabilities to be developed, everything was fine. But typically we do have some red flags, some red semaphores, some red KPIs, red objectives in the scorecards, and then the question goes of where does this malfunction, this insatisfactory result, this insufficient result comes from, and we need to go back and say, okay, what happened with the projects? What happened with the changes performed? If it's in the continuous improvement, we can ask the excellence team, what happened? Why was not the right? Was something wrong with the activities that were supposed to be performed? And if that's the case, of course, they will need the necessary corrections to try to improve the outcome until next month, when we, of course, we're going to look at the results and see if they've been able to correct it or not. But the problem is, if they are telling us that there was nothing wrong, everything went exactly as planned, then where does the red flag comes from? I mean, what's going on? And we need to go back further on the other hypothesis that we have employed when we have decided, for instance, to achieve this objective, when we decided to close that strategic gaps of, for instance, operational performance level. Was that the right operational performance level? Or actually, in order to achieve a driven objective related to a customer satisfaction or something, the level was supposed to be higher than that? And we used an invalid hypothesis when we determined initially that the level of excellence for our process that was subject to improvement was a certain level. So so we go back and say, okay, that was the hypothesis that we haven't got right. We need to replace it with the right value, and then we go back and tell the excellence team, guys, your target has changed. We realize that we made a mistake, and you need to continue working until you improve that process to the new target. And that's the corrective actions that we have taken based on the feedback of combining output and outcome, and the causality relationship between the strategic objectives, because they are driving and driven roles in our set of strategic objectives that are part of our strategic plan. Okay, so that's something that we should do typically on a monthly basis. So who's doing it? So it depends a lot. I haven't seen a balanced scorecard system where 100% of the values were automatically collected by information systems. Typically, at least 50%, if not maybe 70% of the data is manually entered. But it's manually entered at the lowest possible level and then aggregated up into the system. So, for instance, if you are having a number of initiatives as part of the continuous improvement program, and the excellence team is managing some activities related to that, they should enter if there are some things that they can measure in that process, like, for instance, a number of defects that have been reached every month based on the initiatives to improve that and to apply some changes there. They should enter the data. It shouldn't be entered at organizational level or even at a functional level. So everybody who's as low as possible in contact with the changes that are produced by those processes should be in the position to enter the data that has been collected. But typically it's not some subjective data. It's something that can be checked anytime. It's something that we can see in the process. We are counting the number of defects. It's not that I'm subjectively entering some defect data there, which is not it's real values. But that's how it works. And then we aggregate the data. If we take the changes, the outcome of the changes that you have produced with the outcome of the changes that other people have produced related to the same strategic objective, we are aggregating because there are contributory activities here, and we're aggregating them into the status of achievement of the objectives that we can see at departmental level, and then we can aggregate it at organizational level. And this is ideal. Even if it's an Excel spreadsheet, you can still do this kind of aggregation, but ideally you should have an information system for all this. And again, try to enter the data as low as possible in the hierarchy of the alignment that you have set up, and then organize the upwards aggregation of the data in a way that that can be seen as a contribution of that good or bad data into some upper level aggregated information that is displayed in not just in the departmental scorecard or in the individual scorecards, but also in the organizational scorecards as well.
Perfect, sir. Thank you, Mihai. I think I just add a few more points. Very, very excellent. You rightly said. So it's a monthly process. And who should do? If you have an office of strategy management, they should be able to coordinate to get the information. If you have a process excellence manager or a center of excellence, there should be a connectivity. Okay, so being worked in both areas, so we included just a piece since it is time came. So we have something called Office of Strategy Management. Permit I'll just share for a minute because it's a context came here. Okay, so context came here. I hope still it is active. Okay, so we have created something, a module called Office of Strategy Management, OSM. Okay, so is it still active? So there is something called Office of Strategy Management. So in the Office of Strategy Management, what we have is we have some sort of the activity what Office of Strategy Management. So especially as part of strategy execution. So what they can do is so let me. Give me 1 second, because I just keep open for a long time. So what happens here is in the Office of Strategy Management, so all the KPIs will be sent to everybody, all the relevant people via email also. Then they can fill the data and then come. It's automated, automatic. The same way, the business process excellence maturity also can be communicated to the individuals. They can get. So I'm not just stop. So I have to stop screen sharing. Then let me come back to this, because the mechanism of this process, from practical point of view, the Office of Strategy Management sends messages to the individual processes owners or project managers or KPI owners, so they can fill the data directly by quickly opening the link. Then the data will come, consolidate automatically, and drop into your strategy maps. Okay, so that's I will show you maybe after Amitabh if you answer this query from your side.
So related to you're talking about the frequency of the reviews. Yeah. So in this case, see, I will just add on. Of course, monthly is definitely there, but because most of the continuous improvement initiatives are a little bit long term in nature. So even quarterly reviews also can be interjected there. So it strikes a balance between the agility and sufficient time to gather meaningful results from the continuous improvement initiatives. And this also allows the team to assess progress, identify areas for adjustment, and ensure alignment with the strategic objectives. So quarterly review will ensure, especially from continuous improvement perspective. See, monthly review would be good for the operations perspective. Means they have got an ongoing operations on a monthly basis. They know what they're producing, and on a daily basis, in fact, they know. So monthly review really makes sense. but continuous improvement needs a little bit of patience. So at times I've seen that, if you insist upon monthly reviews for continuous improvement initiatives, and typically a Lean Six Sigma projects is like 3 to 4 months or 6 months. So if you ask every month what's happening and you just say, I'm collecting the data, it looks like, it's sometimes discouraging to the team, or sometimes those who don't know Lean Six Sigma, they feel that, nothing much is happening. So even quarterly reviews will be very, very helpful, and especially from continuous improvement perspective. And annual review obviously is very much there, which we are all aware of. So that will give us the real bigger picture that did we really achieve out of those initiatives? Were we able to, get what strategy wanted to get an output, or initiatives were able to deliver, continuous improvement initiatives were able to deliver what we have designed or thought about. So that is one thing I'll just add. And of course, if you're talking about continuous improvement, CXOs will be part of this, because if they are not even available for quarterly reviews, then it's of no use. So CXOs should be very much part of it, apart from your master black belts or continuous improvement experts, and department heads definitely should be part of those, because most of the continuous improvement initiatives are in these departments. So they are accountable. The department heads are accountable, and if you make them accountable, you'll see that results will be better. And if you have a PMO office, obviously they can be also part of this review. And even I would say sometimes, and in many cases, we have even customer involved in those reviews. Because if you have got the luxury of getting access to the customers, we have invited, in some of the organizations, we have invited, especially hospitality industry, or anything which has a very good interaction with the customer, direct customers, the touch points are there, retail industry. So we have even invited, in our, whether the projects which we were doing, to take an example of a hotel industry, to reduce the time taken to serve a particular dish. Really the customer felt the difference or not, or even someone who's a representative of the customer. So that will really, they can tell you, yeah, it did impact. So sometimes the results may not be visible in your dashboard, but when the customer says, and customer says if he's happy, you will see the results maybe in the future. So these additionally, we can, I'll just add to that question as an answer.
Yeah. Sorry, I just missed my share. Very important point. The process improvement initiatives, sometimes we may not get results. So you have lead time, like 2 months, 3 months. So you need to have a mechanism to accommodate. But they can have a feedback, not necessarily on all initiatives. So they can, on a particular initiatives, they can give the feedback on a monthly basis, so that the ongoing, you can just leave it for a quarter or whatever. So, but at least, the monthly, month on month, what is going on, okay? So as far as the strategy execution is concerned, that has to be connected. So now, I just missed my screen share. I'll just take a minute to say, so we have something called Office of Strategy Management. Okay, so we created based on the practical difficulty, because one of the practical difficulty is Office of Strategy Management could be only one guy. It could be a couple of people, or it could be a team like 5 to 6 people, not more than that. So how do we manage the overall strategy transformation? Okay, so how do they connect the different people? So what we have is in the Office of Strategy Management. So we have a process. So the moment you select a balance scorecard and organization, so all the you can select objectives, themes, or whatever. So it will come. So here you have to set up the date, okay, start date and end date, to collect the data. Okay, so they set it for the data collection. Okay, and if it is coming automatically, it will fill it up from the integrations. Then you send it. So you send them, the email will go to individuals with a link. They don't even need to have a systems access. The link will go to them. They open it and update it. Okay, everything will come and store into the system. Likewise, they can have in the Office of Strategy Management. So all the strategy execution, which includes your process excellence, your project management team, the risk and compliance, and also the people performance and budgeting. All the things can be clubbed to the strategy execution and then managed through Office of Strategy Management. It's more like a collaborative tool to collect the data, validate, and close the period. Like majority of the time, what happens is you collect the data. Sometimes the data is not updated properly. Then you debate on the wrong data. So these operational things, very simple things, can be corrected through Office of Strategy Management module. Just the more information, maybe we can share sometime later. But that's very important. The pain area, being an Office of Strategy Management leader sometime. So it was one of the majority of time we used to spend in collecting the data, preparing PowerPoint presentations, and making sure that this is. And then we end up in a strategy review meeting. We end up in discussing about the accuracy of the data. Okay, Amitabh, you know well. So if the data is not correct, then there is nothing. We talk about the data. There we have to talk about the decisions. So all these things have to be in place. Okay, so that is something which is very, very important. I think you rightly said, Devi, I think you asked that question. So Office of Strategy Management size, it depends. I think Meena is the right one to answer that. So in my experience, we had a couple of guys to start with OSM, and then later we had like 3, 4, 5 to do that. But still, we find like 3, 4 people. It is a mid-sized to larger organization. If it is small, it should be one executive. So we have limited time. I have 3 more topics very quickly. Okay, so one is, what about the culture? Okay, in those process excellence, what is the role of culture, organizational culture? And then how do we communicate all this? The process excellence strategy, there are so many initiatives. How do we do that communication? And what is the role of the executive decision? I think these are the 3 areas which is most important. Very quickly, give your opinions. Mihai, the culture, the communication part, and the leadership. You are in mute, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. So when you are talking about culture, if you allow me, I will actually bring a slide.
Running out of time, Amitabh. You had another session.
Yeah, I know. I just want to bring this slide and share it with you, and then I'll be much briefer. If I can do this, I wonder if you can see it. The capability system that we are using as part of strategy formulation is looking at what is missing or what needs to be changed. And now look at the right bottom of the 10 boxes. It's attitudes and behaviors. It's about cultural traits. It's about organizational culture. So we are looking, whenever we decide to change something for a certain purpose of overcoming some paramount challenges in the future, and we are looking at what is needed to be able to support some new strategic choices, some new value proposition. And if we think that, for instance, a certain level of excellence, a certain level of maturity of certain processes becomes of paramount importance, becomes a required capability, then we need to specify that we are required to have a more significant focus on, for instance, quality of work which is performed, a higher quality on a quicker response time to any malfunctions in terms of applying corrective actions, because that is what is mandated by the new type of value proposition that we would like to bring to the market. So in other words, we are defining what is needed in terms of cultural attitudes and behaviors about anything about organizational culture as required. And then we compare what exists today in our organization, what kind of focus to quality, what kind of response times do we have whenever a malfunction is spotted and until it is corrected. And if we see that there is a difference, then we have a strategic gap that we need to close, which means that we enter inside of our strategic plan the necessary actions, the necessary objectives, first of all, the strategic gaps, and then the objectives, and then the initiatives that are going to require people to attain some training courses, to change maybe the evaluation scale for their individual performance in order to focus them more on what is required to close those gaps. In other ways, we connect the changes in organizational cultures that we can do proactively to the strategy. It becomes part of our strategic plan. And if we cannot close those gaps, if we cannot change those behaviors or those attitudes or those communication styles or those teamwork or those performance focus, then we have a problem, because that gaps is not closed, and there are other objectives which are depending on our objective, and they are not going to be achieved either. So we need to focus on actually closing those cultural gaps that we are aware that must be closed. Otherwise, we can't actually implement our strategy. So you see, we have these situations when we need to change something in order to be able to achieve our strategic objectives. And if that something includes things related to the organizational cultures, and we should try to do our best to change them as we understand that we have some gaps in the ways that our people behave, or what they are focused on what kind of relationships exist in some teams, and so on.
Perfect. Thank you, Vinay. Amitabh, so we talk about communication, culture, and leadership. I know you have scheduled another meeting at 5. Okay, so please quickly give us, and then maybe.
Yeah. Yes, I have still 10 minutes. So yeah, I have given a gap of 15 more minutes after this. So yeah, so see, cult is what is culture? Coming from the word cult. So behavior of a group, behavior of a group of people. Now this culture develops within an organization unknowingly, and it's a unique to any organization. So you can't copy, as they say, you can't copy the culture. You can copy the machinery, the software applications. You can hire the people from that competitor's organization, but you cannot copy the culture. So the culture is very, very unique and plays a very important role, especially the resistance to change. In some cultures there is a strong resistance to change. Somewhere it's not there, or it's like a little less. And it takes time to develop that. The importance of culture is definitely there. It takes time to develop that. And here, as I was talking about, continuous improvement is in a long term. In a long term scenario, continuous improvement plays a very, very key role here. So if the strategy is about, you're talking about something you have visualized for the next 5 years or 10 years down the line. Unfortunately, culture doesn't figure in any of the neither balance scorecard, neither whatever X matrix, etc. It's missing, totally missing. But the reason it's missing is, and yeah, someone can think, so researchers, if they're listening, they can incorporate something to measure the culture as well. There are some scales to measure, of course, I'm not, but there's nothing like very popular one. So that plays a very, very important role. And in fact, whatever we have been talking about, creating a strategy, aligning it with the process excellence and process excellence initiative, aligning it with the strategy. That whole thing creates a culture, and culture is created by how we run and how we support, what kind of support the senior management brings in, and what kinds of enthusiasm, with what enthusiasm the executives and the people at the executive level, or the initial level, ground level, and they are involved in those strategy. So all these things will definitely build a very strong culture, and that has a very, very important role there.
Yeah. So thank you, Amitabh. I think we have run out of time. I request participants to post any questions. If you would like to speak, please let me know. So our organization step in. I think it's very interesting. So let us take it at the final thoughts, the key takeaways. Okay, so let us say top 2 key takeaways from each of us. Mihai, can you give a
Yeah. Before highlighting that, I would like just to say I posted in the chat the link to the alignment of strategy and culture, and show exactly, as part of the Kaplan and Norton balanced scorecard framework for strategy execution, how exactly at strategic objective level, how do we deal with cultural changes. That it's something that it's specifically targeting any misalignment of the current culture inside our organization with the scope of the strategy. And if they are, let's say, divergent, we need to do whatever is required in terms of deliberate actions to actually change the culture accordingly in order to be able to execute our strategy. Because if it doesn't happen, then it's going to happen exactly what a famous thinker said, that culture is going to eat strategy for breakfast, because we haven't been able to perform the necessary cultural changes that would allow us, because we are talking about something which is at the enablement perspective, at the bottom perspective. All the cultural related objectives, one or more, are going to be driving objectives for other objectives which are going to be driven, which means that they are not going to be accomplished if we cannot achieve the cultural related strategic objective of making the necessary cultural changes inside the organization. So this is, you see, it's not something like it happens or it doesn't happen. If it doesn't happen, we don't execute our strategy, or at least we don't execute it fully as we expect it to happen, and that is very, very, very well specified inside the execution premium process. And of course, if you want to use the benefit of the knowledge accumulated through their thousands and thousands of projects, that's fine. If not, you can still struggle with the culture while you don't know how to integrate it within the strategy. So okay, just to make a point on that last subject. And about the takeaways, I think that it's important to be able to understand the interworking between the strategic plan and the continuous improvement programs, whatever they might be, excellence and excellence program, or Lean Six Sigma, or it might be something related to the application of theory of constraints, or whatever kind of activity you're running at operational level. And let's be very clear, continuous improvement is part of the operational activity. It's actually part of the ways that we are trying to perform better and better whatever we are doing, part of the processes and activities inside the company. That's not part of any strategies. That's part of the normal expectations that we should continuously improve whatever we're doing. That's part of the operations. Strategy is a completely different thing. Now, however, strategy requires also certain levels of performance from the processes which we are operating, and since we do have a system in place to deal with improvement of the processes, then it's very normal for the strategy and the improvement program, the continuous improvement program, to be synchronized, because it doesn't make sense for the strategy to do something related to process improvement. It's normal for it to hand over the job of improving certain processes and prioritize their improvement as part of existing a system for continuous improvement and for focus on excellence of processes inside the organization. It's very important to be able to do this integration. And of course, first and foremost, you need to have them. You need to have a system of managing strategy, and you have to have a system for managing the excellence improvement and the continuous improvement of processes. So that's and of course, as a consequence of that, you have people working with the strategy part, like the Office of Strategy Management, and the excellence team working with the continuous improvement program to work together and to be able to exchange information and data and synchronize and have reviews and so on.
Yeah. So thank you, Amitabh. So what are the key takeaways?
Yeah, so I would say that as leaders, it is our responsibility to make sure that every initiative, every process change, every improvement is aligned with the bigger picture, the strategy of the organization. And by doing so, we don't just improve our processes, but we also enable our organizations to thrive in the long run. And that is what all of us want to. Yeah, thank you.
So thank you, Amitabh. So in my opinion, prioritize the processes in alignment with the strategy. So give a priority for the processes to be improved, which give a bigger and better impact on the strategy. So do that first. So avoid the temptation of optimizing everything. So prioritize them. Then use the appropriate methodology or tool. So don't jump that one methodology will not be fit for everything. So you need to choose a right combination of methodologies. Sometimes, simple optimization of your existing ERP will do the job. Sometimes, you need to have Six Sigma projects to achieve the complicated optimizations, because you cannot do it with that. A simple, sometimes like a 5S kind of thing will achieve the job. So you identify them and do it. Don't just take one methodology and then adopt. It's not about the methodology or tool. It's about you, what you are doing. The third thing is the feedback from the process excellence to the strategy, and it's a continuous thing. Make sure it is in the place. Otherwise, what happens is the process excellence team keep on doing something. Sometimes it may fire back also. To optimize the wrong thing, you create a wrong expectations from the process, and then it will become a problem also. So make sure always strategy and operations are aligned or integrated, whatever terminologies are appropriate. Okay. So this is my point of view. I think there is one question we have. I think you already answered it somewhere. I want to repeat that. Otherwise, we will just sign off for today. You are in mute. Huh? You are in mute.
Yeah, I've recommended reading that piece, which also has connections and links to other related content about the integration between the strategic plan and the continuous improvement program.
So thank you. I think we ran out of time. It's for 2 hours. Very interesting discussion. I would sincerely appreciate your time, Mihai, for giving us the valuable time and helping us to understand the connection between strategy and then process excellence. And then Amitabh, I admire your intensity for process excellence and the way you handle processing projects. I have witnessed you do it in a very, very simple, very practical way. The most practical person I have seen. So that's how we do that. Thank you very much for joining the session. Thank you, participants, for joining the session for today. And please post your questions. Anything if you want to talk about, you post questions. We are available. And also, I would like to thank Fruit Strategy team to organize this event. And we always try, on behalf of Fruit Strategy, I would like to thank everybody. We always try to connect industry experts, the process, the key, the best practices, which are required to achieve the business excellence. Right from the strategy formulation, whether it could be process excellence, the project management excellence, or could be people performance. All these things are connected together experts to help you. That's what we do. Okay, so happy to conduct this event, and thank you for me giving this opportunity to moderate the session. So thank you, Mihai. Thank you, Amitabh. Thank you, participants and all event organizers. From the bottom of my hand, thank you very much. And,
Thank you.
take care and have a good weekend.
Thank you.